Let's talk about BlackBerry maker Research In Motion. It is struggling to revive falling sales, and we just learned that its Vice President of Developer Relations, Tyler Lessard, is leaving. Alex Saunders is replacing him. Also earlier this week, we saw shares rise 4.5% on speculation that activist investor Carl Icahn is buying a stake in that company. Our next guest is Kevin Smithen. He's a senior analyst at Macquarie Securities. Smithen currently recommends RIM stock as an outperform. Kevin, great to have you here in the studio. John as well, who's been covering the RIM story. Let me just first get your take on Lessard leaving. We know there's going to be management changes here at RIM, but how important is this job?
Well, it is an important job for the company, but obviously the company announced about a quarter ago a significant restructuring, management realignment. This is just the next phase of that, and I think there will continue to be management changes as we move toward the QNX launch in the early part of next calendar year. The company's had the most ambitious 165 carrier launch in the BlackBerry 7 product that it's ever had, and so you're going to start to see management changes on the back of this launch, and as they get closer to the QNX launch early next year.
A big part of the job of this executive who is leaving is to inspire developers to create apps that are going to make BlackBerry devices the destination, right? Apple has done that so incredibly well. And Kevin, why don't we explain the importance of that job in an environment like this?
Well, one of the things that people have been critical about with BlackBerry, and ourselves included, is that they've sort of, on the consumer side, they've had fewer applications and fewer developers than the Android ecosystem or the Apple ecosystem. And I think that obviously the company, if they want to penetrate the consumer market, particularly here in North America, our suggestion and where we think they're going on QNX is to move toward supporting the Android platform with the Android apps player on the new QNX smartphones. So we think that the applications for BlackBerry are going to evolve gradually over the next 6 months to become more of a partner with Android and Google. And I think that this specific job is going to evolve as a result from an internal development to
Right, but just in terms of an investor understanding it, is it because developers think the products just aren't cool versus Apple or Google products, or is it that they try to see the future and they think Research In Motion doesn't have a good seat at the table?
Well, I think, look, it's a smaller ecosystem. If you kind of look at the U.S. market for smartphones, obviously Android's been the fastest growing. Apple has been largely the incumbent and the largest player. Android is now taking over as the largest player in the market. You've got Microsoft entering the market and RIM, who's basically lost market share here in the U.S. and North America.
Right.
I think if you look at where the developers are spending their time, there's obviously more apps. It's been a larger ecosystem with the Android system and with the Apple system. That's where the developers are focused. But we do think RIM is shifting toward a focus on this QNX product with Android developers. So I think that developers will be able to write for RIM through Android going forward.
Kevin, I want to get to the Icahn question because it's not confirmation yet, but there is all the speculation that he's rumored to buy into RIM. How would he extract shareholder value from this company?
Well, I have no idea if Mr. Icahn and his firm have made an investment in RIM. There has been no disclosures, at least to date, from that. But I do think that we have been recommending RIM because we think there's significant hidden asset value in the company. If the company were to hypothetically sell no more handsets, no more smartphones, they still have almost 71 million subscribers paying over $4.50 per month in very, very high margin recurring revenue. So we estimate that even if they didn't sell any more handsets, it would take 3 to 4 years for this customer base to roll off, and that would generate close to $9 or $10 of earnings. You've got $3 per share in cash, roughly, on the balance sheet, and we think their intellectual property, they bought Nortel patent portfolio with Apple and Microsoft, their other 11,000 patents, and that's worth approximately $7 per share in total.
They are so reluctant to even address, the value of that patent portfolio if they were going to sell it. They bought it because they want to be a player. They don't want to offer themselves up as some investment for somebody else.
No, and you can't just monetize patents without selling the company. We saw that with Motorola. There was hidden asset value in the patents. and ultimately Google came and bought the company primarily for that patent portfolio, but also for their set-top and handset business. But I think with RIM, it provides downside protection. If they were to stumble and continue to stumble on these new products, we do believe there would be a buyer in the market for the 70 million plus subscribers and their intellectual property.
Kevin, you have an outperform rating on RIM. You know, the stock's gone from what, the 70s earlier this year to now it's trading the 20s. So it's been a huge underperformer.
Yes.
How's it going to get to I mean, how is it going to outperform exactly?
Well, we launched in July after the shares had corrected from 70 plus. We launched around $26 level. And it's had some volatility since then. Clearly, this quarter was disappointing in some regards in terms of reported revenue and EPS and gross margins. But there's some encouraging signs. The actual sell-through or underlying end demand was 13.7 million units. They sold in or recognized revenue in only 10.6 million units. So they actually reduced channel inventory, particularly in North America, to very, very low levels, 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the carrier. And we think with the huge product launch that they have of BlackBerry 7, that you can see a snapback in revenue and earnings this quarter and next quarter if they just sell that, true end demand, which is 13.7 million last quarter. Now, historically, they get a lift of about 17 or 18% sequentially in the holiday quarter, which is this one coming up. So it's conceivable. The midpoint of their guidance is 14 million. It's conceivable now that they've finally given realistically conservative guidance, and if there's no more inventory drawdown, they should be able to ship over 14 million units this quarter.
Okay, all right, Kevin, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Kevin Smithen of Macquarie Securities.